ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da, ya da da da.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So nice to see all of you here, not see you, but know that you're seeing us at home as you join us to create our minyan, our prayer community here at Congregation Shereth Israel in this beautiful sanctuary. I'm Rabbi Jessica Graff, together with Cantor Toby Glaser, Jonathan Dimmick, our music director. We are delighted to have you and to be able to celebrate a number of simchas that you will hear about tonight. Just take one moment, if you would, to wave or elbow bump or whatever somebody around you. Just say hello and Shabbat Shalom from a nice COVID distance. Eric, feel free to say no, but since you're in the front row and a member of the Board of Trustees, would you be willing to come up, yay, and give a shout out? And because you're fun and always have interesting stories, share a little something with our community with no prep whatsoever, so sorry.
Well, that's, you know how shy I am.
He hasn't even done his hair.
But it's beautiful to be here. I'm Eric O'Neill, Secretary of the Board of Trustees. On whose behalf I welcome you to join us tonight. I love that we got extra nagoons. It's like getting comped appetizers. It's a lovely, lovely thing.
Always nagoons to go around.
Yes, yes. Walking up here, I was just struck by how beautiful the building is, and I commented to Denise that it's even more beautiful. The Moses window in particular is so much more beautiful on the inside than the outside, but it's really what else is on the inside here that makes this place so beautiful, which is all of you here and at home, and I'm so delighted to be here in community with you to share this gift of Shabbat with you. So thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I hope the Giants prevail. So, and I know that you're all watching this rather than the Giants game, so Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's amazing to watch, as Eric mentioned, the Moses window, which is beautiful in here, along with all of us. I don't know how many of you were here last Shabbat afternoon for the B'nai Mitzvah or saw it from home, but the window was as beautiful as I've ever seen it at 4:30 last Shabbat afternoon. As we head into the shorter days, we can really be aware of the changing of the seasons in this space as the colors change and it's starting to become dark, which has its own beautiful quality as we welcome Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, and it's actually dark, getting dark outside. So I'd like to introduce Al and Artis Breslauer, who are among our wonderful friends, family celebrating a birthday this week. We have lots and lots of birthdays this week, and in fact, a community of birthday folks who've celebrated together, I guess, every year for years. You've all gotten to have this special week with other members of our community too. So, Mazal Tov, Ad Me'ave Isrim to 120. You should keep celebrating with us. You have a long ways to go. And in honor of your birthday and continued good health in community, we'd love to invite you to light our Shabbat candles.
Would you like to chant? Or please, yes, I would love that.
Here, you get to light them. Would you like them?
Would you come over here?
The blessing for Shabbat candles is on page 2 in our
Whoops, maybe.
Sidurim.
Sorry, it's always a nerve-wracking experience for our B'nai Mitzvah as
Yes.
well.
There we are.
Just on page 2, if you want to.
Oh,
Open the
page 2.
Siddur.
Here. Oops.
There we go.
Here we go. Okay. Right? Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzibanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. And
Shalom,
before
thank
you leave
you.
this microphone, will you just share 1 or 2 sentences about your history here at Shereth Israel? Because I don't know if everybody knows how far back you actually go in this wonderful community.
It's not so much us. We only joined the temple around in 1999, but my father joined this temple in 1922, I believe, with Rabbi Nieto, and so. And of course, those who might remember, my father also served as the principal of the Sunday school for about 20 years or so.
Beautiful
And you were
contribution.
bar mitzvah.
I had my bar mitzvah here in,
On this bima, right?
in
Right.
1948 with Cantor Liederman.
Amazing, amazing. Well, we look forward to celebrating your next bar mitzvah.
We'll try. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll continue welcoming Shabbat as we turn to page 20, and we invite the angels from all over out there to join us inside here to make our Shabbat sacred and festive and filled with love for the next 25 hours. Page 20.
Lecha dodi, likrat kala, ene Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, ene Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המקדש, אדוני יכול לשמוע אחד, בשם התפארת ונתינה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, יהיה מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שדברי, כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. We rise to greet the Shabbat angels. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת,
standing as we enter Ma'ariv, the evening part of our service on page 28 with Baruch Hu. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Praised you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Ahavat olam bet Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Let's read together at the top of page 39 as we prepare ourselves to express gratitude for the freedom which became ours when we crossed the sea. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught wherever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. The words to this beautiful melody can be found on page 43.
והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Shabbat, as we rest, we let God rest a little bit too from all of our asking, from all of our petitionary prayers that we say during the week. The Amidah on Shabbat is much, much shorter. And all the prayers where we ask God for things just taken out on Shabbat, except for two that are so important that the rabbis of old believed that it was okay to interrupt God's rest, to ask for healing and to ask for peace. And so tonight, as we always do when we come together as a community, we ask for healing, for shleimut, for wholeness, for those in our community and our lives who are in need of wholeness and in need of our prayers, of a sense of love and support. We turn to page 253 for Misha Berach. On this Shabbat, we pray for refuah shlema, a complete and speedy healing for Devorah, Shoshana Hannah Asher, Jeremy Frick, Michael Gaines, Mikiko Wong, Nancy Igdaloff, Adrian Christine, William Kurian, Leonid Landra Renko, Geraldo Mauricio de Nadai, Carolyn Reznikoff, Chris Romano, Agnes Rothblatt, Annette Wiener, and those whom you mention out loud now here in the sanctuary or at home. Please share their names all at once so we fill this space with our prayers together.
Miriam Matan Vepesel Ruchel. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn now to page 46 as we prepare ourselves to stand and to call out. I read an interesting article last week that John forwarded to me. I think it was in Time magazine. If anybody wants it, let me know after Shabbat. It was about basically just the constant anxiety and exhaustion that we've all felt for so long now, and that sense of tiredness that comes with all the worry, that comes with all the decisions. I feel like I'm tired all the time. I imagine you are too. And so as we stand and prepare ourselves, sometimes we look for those moments of celebration, and we certainly have many things to celebrate tonight and in our community, but we also just need to acknowledge our own exhaustion and the places that we're at, the anxiety that we carry, and the isolation and the loneliness that has been so much a part of the last 18 months as we come together to get rid of some of those feelings of separation and to allow ourselves to be honest with each other, with God, with ourselves, as we stand and begin our tefillah on page 46.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehillah אדוני שפתי תפתח, אדוני שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך, ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני אחת. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. im refi vegion libi lefanecha Adonai tzori vegoali. Ose shalom bimromav hoya ase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
As I looked at this leaflet when I walked in tonight and saw 2 Cheshvan 5782, reminded, of course, that we've entered the month of Cheshvan, the month following Tishrei, which is the month filled with all of our holidays of late. And this last week was the first week in many that was without a holiday. We actually just had like a plain old week. So I'm going to just take a little nap over there, and I'll be back in a few minutes. It's been a tiring and a fun time, I think, in some ways in the Jewish world, celebrating all of these things. As I admitted a couple weeks ago, Sukkot is my most favorite holiday. And we have this wonderful guy who many of you know, Merle Cofton, who has been such a great blessing to me. He comes over every year and actually builds a sukkah for me, which I would never, ever, ever be able to do. And I didn't have a sukkah growing up, so I didn't even know exactly how this would work. But I love having a sukkah so much that I always want it to linger, to just stick around for a while. I don't know exactly. I mean, I guess kind of like with Christmas trees, there's some arbitrary date after which it's kind of tacky to leave it up, right? I don't know what that date is, but, by February, it's like enough already. So I don't know what that date is for sukkahs, but I just love kind of an extra few days of a sukkah in our garden. And I was sitting in the sukkah this year. It coincided with nice weather. It happened to be early this holiday this year. And so I actually got to spend some time sitting there. I didn't realize until I was on a call with the board of trustees and the words came out of my mouth. I wasn't aware of something that I guess I had felt so deeply but was so subconscious. The roof of our sukkah is made out of schach, palm fronds, that I feel so grateful to be able to say it came from the hills of eternity, actually. So thank you on behalf of everyone who does such great work to make such a beautiful cemetery for us. But the folks from Hills of Eternity prune the palm trees every year And so brilliantly, someone had the idea to do that around this time of year. So Sheretz Israel and Emmanuel could use these palm fronds for the building of sukkahs. And then there were some extras, and I got to put them up. And as much as I love looking up at the palm fronds, I didn't realize until I said it that part of what makes it so important for me to have those palm fronds is that they come from the palm trees that are over the cemetery where all 4 of my grandparents are buried, where so many of your family members and mine are located, where as we walk around there, I recognize this name and that name, and always go to visit Jeremy Rassen's grandparents just behind mine. And I mean, it feels like a place that is, as Rachel Greenblatt said some years ago when we visited her parents just across the road from my grandparents, it feels like an extension of our congregation. It's like our country estate in a way. And it does. It's such a beautiful place, and I'm so grateful for that place, but also for the opportunity to bring the memory of so many people who I did and did not know into my sukkah. Those palm fronds represent for me generations, years, memories of people I didn't necessarily know, who surround us still to this day in this place and in every place that we go. But sometimes a physical reminder allows us to really appreciate, though we don't necessarily know all of the memories and the stories. It's a little bit like when I went to Istanbul years ago. I went to see the Turkish bath. It was in the middle of Istanbul, and I don't know if any of you have been there, but on the wall there's a plaque that explains that it used to be the mikveh way, way back in olden days. And my dad's grandparents came from there. So I imagine that my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and et cetera, must have been in that very space, that space that I went to see as a tourist, people who I would never know, but whose lives and contributions continue to swirl around us. It's so Jewish. It's so Jewish to be connected to the past and to the future, to bring the contributions of our ancestors and to think about what it is that they gave us without which we couldn't be here today. What were the circumstances of their lives, the courage that they exhibited, or the changes they made in the world that were unique to that time? They were only possible in the time that they happened to live. What are the things that challenged them, that allowed them to be heroic or to be committed to an ideal that were provided in some way as an opportunity to them as great leaders rose in every generation, including our own, rose to the challenges? And so I was thinking about this as I was sitting in the sukkah, and even with the sukkah lasting a little longer, having the privilege of reading the beginning of our Torah again, which we do always after Simchat Torah, which was last week. But Bereshit is part of what's read on Simchat Torah. So not until we get to the second parsha, Parshat Noach, the story of Noah, are we really into the Torah story on its own 2 feet. And so, as I was thinking in the sukkah about these great ushpizin, we say, with a kind of a crazy Aramaic word, the guests that we invite into our sukkah and into our lives, I was also thinking about this line at the beginning of this week's Torah portion. Noach, the guy who ended up saving humanity in the animal kingdom, hu haya ish tzadik b'dorotav. He was a righteous man in his generation. And the rabbis of old asked what it was that means, really, that line. He was a righteous man in his generation. The rabbis asked, was everybody else so bad that Noah just looked really great? Or was Noah so great that it didn't matter who was around him? He would have been this great heroic character. And our B'nai Mitzvah last week struggled with this question. Noah doesn't seem to have been so great on his own. A lot of challenges or human foibles that come out in his story. So was it just that he was able to do something heroic because of the circumstances around him? Was he just able to rise to the occasion where he was? It's an imperfect world that we live in, and of course, that he lived in. What we find after the waters recede and the ark comes to a stop and Noah is able to go outside is that he goes immediately to planting vineyards. And he actually goes back to this very sort of human behavior of excess, of too much alcohol, of getting drunk. And we learn this story of a person who only moments before had been seen as so heroic. He was, but he was also very human. I thought as I read this Torah portion, which is always a fun one, but also a really profound one in so many ways, I thought for the first time this year, as I was connecting it to these holidays which just passed in the month behind us, that in some ways this Torah portion is actually a microcosm of the 4 holidays that we just concluded. Rosh Hashanah, of course, is the story of the creation of the world, and in the Noah story, creation is evident with the diversity of the animals, the diversity of life on earth. Yom Kippur, coming 10 days after Rosh Hashanah, is our reflection on blessing and curse, on death, on missing the mark, on what we do that's not perfect. And Noah, too, was an imperfect character, as I said, running to excess the minute there was dry land. Sukkot, the 3rd holiday, 5 days after Yom Kippur, is the story of human fragility and the fragility of the earth. So, of course, in the Noah story, the ark, the fragility of human and animal life is the central part, really, of this story. Will we be okay? That's the question asked in the Sukkah without walls. It's the question asked by Kohelet. It's the question asked by the Noah story. And Simchat Torah, the 4th of these 4 holidays in the month of Tishrei, is about a new covenant and a new beginning. And in the Noah story, we receive this incredible covenantal sign from God, the rainbow, where God promises that as hard as things may get, God will never try to wipe us out again. In fact, it's a new beginning. And so we too, as we began reading the Torah over again, as I said, if anybody read the J article that I wrote last week about getting to the end, right? We should get to celebrate arriving at the land of Israel. Maybe just like a limonana in the desert or whatever, like a little cold drink. But no, we go right away from seeing the land to tohu and vohu, to darkness and void again at the beginning of the story when it comes together in a scroll, in a circle, right? And so we're always, as humans, on this path between arriving somewhere and starting over, between the past and the present and the future, between the contributions which continue to inspire us of those who came before us and the challenges that we need to rise to as people who try to be righteous in our own generation, as people who deal with the complexities of our very own world, which are different from the complexities of any other time. And yet the challenge in front of all of us is to try to be an ish tzaddik b'dorotav, a righteous person in the generation in which we live, faced with the challenges that happen to be around us. And so as we come into Cheshvan, into this new month, without holidays, no holidays at all, these holidays continue to inspire us and to challenge us to take their lessons and to take their metaphors with us as we begin this new journey to find relationship with God and with each other, to rise to the challenges of being humans who are worthy of being called righteous in our own generation. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue with the celebration of some righteous people in our generation. How's that? We have so many celebrations tonight and this week to thank God for in our community. The birthdays of Alan Mervis, Al Breslauer, Hal Auerbach, who had a big, giant number turnover, right? And also Jacqueline Kornblatt, who has a birthday today, and we're delighted that you could be here with us to celebrate that. So to all of you, we say Mazal Tov ad me'av esrim, to 120, so that's at least 480, I guess.
And she does maths. Wow.
Well, I know, right? And an amazing new chaplain who passed her exams and comes into the Jewish world to contribute even more, Hagar Ben Eliezer, chaplain Ben Eliezer, who has really accomplished something extraordinary and prepared to contribute even more than you already have to the Jewish world. So Mazal Tov on your great accomplishments, and we look forward to hearing lots more about all the awesome things you're going to continue to do in the Jewish community. Are there other simchas or happy occasions, celebrations in our community this week?
Got a new drum.
A new drum? That's nothing for a drummer.
A dumbek. So,
Cool.
it's when we would get those Middle Eastern sounds, I woke up in a cold sweat thinking, oh my, we don't have any Middle Eastern drums in the synagogue, so now we have one, don't worry.
It was keeping me up at night. That's
Exactly,
great.
yeah. It keeps me up at night.
That's awesome. Anything else? Did you guys do anything cool this week? Just hanging out. We had studio in
Yes.
Stern Grove
We had a beautiful
and
Simchat
opened
Torah.
up the whole Torah, which was so cool. Yes, you guys were there. And it was really beautiful to be able to see the adapting, let's say, of our Jewish community as the pandemic has changed all of our ways of doing things. We've continued to just grow and go with it. What choice do we have? So it was wonderful to see that. Jacqueline.
The Libra buddies.
That's really nice. That's awesome. Mazel tov. In honor of all of these wonderful things and just our ability to see each other, to be in the same room, which I think we cannot take for granted. We don't take for granted. We'll join with the cantor in thanking God for giving us life and sustaining us and enabling us to reach this time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
We turn to page 282 and stand for Aleinu, which literally means it is upon us. It is upon us to be righteous in our own generation. Page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושבו
like to invite Jacqueline to come to the Bima. She wanted very much to be with her community for her birthday. We're so glad she's here, and to honor that important day and also the memory of someone who is very beloved to her, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg. Jacqueline will sing for us Yesh Kochavim, which means there are stars. It's a beautiful melody about the stars that continue to shine brightly and to illuminate our world. And so as we lead into the Kaddish and celebrate the lives of those who came before us, we have the privilege to hear this.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest nights, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember. The ways we remember, we remember. Yesh kokavim she'ora magia artsa, raka hasher hemat mam avdu veinam. Yesh anashim she'zim zikram ma'ir, Od bitochenu, O wrote Elech Amavikim, Bechesh Hath Halayal, Hey, hey, Shemarim Lahadam, Behaderek,
We remember all those who came before us and continue to inspire us. If you are observing Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning for a loved one, please stand and share a name with us. If you're observing the first year of mourning for a loved one, please stand and share a name with us. The perpetual memorials in our congregation are Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, Judy Migdale, Leon Mervis, Harold Weiss, and Joanne May Weiss. The yahrzeit anniversaries on this Shabbat are, if your loved one's name is read, please stand also. Luba Barbalat, Avse Barbalat, Isaac Deller, Lillian Deller, Solomon Mortimer Geist, Yasha Gelman, George Hurwitz, Alan Joan Eushadis, Arthur Oppenheimer, Stanton Orser, Sandy McCollum Owen, Gilbert A. Peepo, Harry Rubenstein, Arthur Schwartz, Yetta Sedway, Milton Shaftel, Michael Schoikett, Alex Temkin, Pauline Temkin, Alan Wasserman, Ann Weitzman, Morris Wexler, Mary Wine, Sam Wine, Samuel Zigman. If there are other yahrzeits we observe on this Shabbat, please stand and share a name with us. Those of you who join us from home as well, please stand in your homes and share a name out loud. We stand with you as one community as we join together on page 294 for words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to mourners everywhere. And we say together, amen. Please be seated. Just a couple of announcements. If you have the leaflet, you may have seen these already. Tomorrow morning, 9:15, we will be on Zoom for Torah study. Please join. And we're hoping to be back in person soon. Stay tuned. Coming up, some other wonderful things. Would you like to mention the concert?
Yes, we have, those of you may know Tully Rubenstein and Omri Gal Oz. And Tully's husband is actually a very talented drummer. So this is kind of a ad hoc jazz trio formed in the Shereth Israel community. And I've invited them to do a concert for us. Tully is moving to LA, but they will be doing a jazz concert, and I will be leading a Havdalah straight after with our musicians on the 30th of October at 4:30 p.m. It'll be a lot of fun. Tickets are already online. Please book tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Other stuff in November, but that feels far off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, are there any other interesting things going on that I have forgotten about? All right, check the website, check online.
Yes,
There's no studio this weekend, right? We're off for Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, Celebration of Italian Americans Day, whatever you want to call it. It's a school holiday. For some schools, not for other schools. There's no studio in any case.
No studio day is what it's
No
called.
studio day is Sunday, exactly. And we will resume with studio in Stern Grove for a couple more weeks beginning next Sunday following. Chaplain Ben Eliezer, will you come to the bima, please, to lead us in Kiddush? And we stand as we join in the sanctification of our wine, which makes this day very special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you do the show? Yeah, please. I would love that. let's get this over. Sorry, my bad. Ugh. Okay. For those at home, so they can hear you.
Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen.
Amen. Chaim. Mazal tov, yes. You want to lead us in Motzi while you're here?
Sure.
Excellent. Baruch atah Adonai. Yeah, take it out. Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
It is a COVID-safe challah for you to take home for your challah toast in the morning if you so desire. Well, we can all, okay. Challah toast all around. Mmm. Mike.
Oh, there we go. How's that? We will conclude with Oseh Shalom. I think you guys know it.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru
Shabbat Shalom. Give waves or tushy bumps or whatever.